Here's a complex topic we can talk about, one that a lot of people would call a moving target, and some would just call a crapshoot. That is promotion. Does it pay to promote yourself? Well, the short answer is yes, absolutely. It's essential to promote yourself. And whether you were a snake oil salesman in the Old West or you're a modern photographer in a major city, pretty much any money or effort you put into building your profile will, for the most part, come back to you with recognition and income. The dilemma here is determining how much should you spend on promotion, how much time should you spend on promotion, and what avenues should you take. It's safe to say somewhere there's a successful photographer who hasn't done a thing, and his career, through nothing short of luck, has fallen miraculously into place. On the opposite end of the scale would be the guy who actually spends more time on promoting himself than he does on shooting pictures. The trick is finding that balance that works for you. But let's make sure you understand. Promotion is essential, and I'll go out on the limb here and say that a 50-50 split, just to give it a number, of your time between being a shooter and a self promoter wouldn't be a bad goal to aim for. Unfortunately, and I'm sure this is true for anybody in business for himself in any business, get used to there not being enough hours in the day. For me personally, every day, no matter how long I work, I always end up with stuff that I didn't get finished. And since I'm in the business of shooting pictures, well, that's supposed to be what I'm prioritizing. But here's some great advice. I learned to turn that into a positive, which allowed me to be excited about starting the next day with a real plan of attack. I was always proud of the fact that I couldn't wait to get to my studio in the morning and dive into work. Listen, just think about all the losers you know who spend their entire life complaining about their crummy job, how much they hate their boss, wishing they were doing something else. You ever heard of the saying, I never worked a day in my life? That's me. And that should be you. If you do something you love, it's not work, and it certainly won't be an effort. You know, if you think about it, doing self promotion should be the highlight of your day. I mean, it's time spent on yourself. What could be more rewarding than that? You don't have to be an egomaniac, but it goes hand in hand with the whole ball of wax called your career. Think of it as building something, only you're in the position of what you're building is you and your reputation. Even though I'm from a different generation than some of you listening to this video, I can assure you some things never change. Some aspects of business constantly change, but there are some fundamentals that are carved in stone. Technology, well, that's always changing, much more for you than it did for me. But building a reputation, well, although the tools are different, the goal is the same. With the advent of social media, I think everyone thought this was going to be the answer to everything. I don't quite see it that way. I know there are people who have parlayed their social media pages into huge followings and with that have built a foundation for a solid business. But at the risk of sounding confused, I'd have to say an awful lot of people I talk to don't see any benefit out of social media other than passing time and stroking their own ego, thinking that everyone is on the edge of their seat waiting to hear what you did today or had for lunch. Looking back on all of the different avenues of promotion I've explored in my career, I guess the most obvious conclusion would be that it seems to be a combination of everything. The exact amount of each component being a bit of a mystery. In other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do some social media, do some direct mail, write an occasional article, make phone calls, join professional organizations. As gigantic as a task as it may sound, you're trying to get to a point where the odds of someone who's reading or exploring anything about photography, well, your name is going to pop up. Okay, so that being said, here's a pretty reliable bit of advice I can dish out with complete confidence. Build your promotions around a very tightly selected group of images. And when I say tightly selected, I really mean just a handful. Here's my rationale. If you attempt to build a recognizable public identity with all kinds of different images, the odds of somebody stumbling across the same image over and over and linking it to your name are very slim. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say you only had one picture that you shot in your entire career. For your entire photographic career, you were only able to shoot one picture. But every time you wrote an article for a photo magazine, or sent out a promotion, or did a direct mail campaign, or entered a contest, you sent your one picture. Well, you know what I think? I think the net effect would be that sooner rather than later, people would say, hey, I know that picture. That's George Diebold's picture. I know that guy's work. So I've exaggerated to make a point, but hopefully you'll see what I mean. Maybe pick 5 or 10 of your absolute best images, and for the next year, just promote with them. Don't stop shooting, just come up with one creative idea after another, challenging yourself to maximize the value of each of those images. You know what I think? I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the outcome. All right, let me conclude with this. I'll put a finer point on it. As far as the average person is concerned, Leonardo da Vinci did one painting, the Mona Lisa. Now, here's a guy who most people are aware of the fact that he did hundreds of pieces of art in all kinds of media. And he's considered one of the most prolific humans to have ever inhabited the earth. But they know one thing for sure. He's the dude who painted the Mona Lisa. You see what I'm saying?